Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. I'm Haley Panagakis with Connect, and I'd like to thank you for tuning in today. Our session is One Man Can't Expand, How to Build, Train, and Maintain a Team of Reliable Volunteers with our speaker, Janice Anderson. Before we get started, I'm going to point out just a few features that you can use. You can type in your questions for Janice in the comment box on the left-hand side of your screen. And she's going to be taking questions throughout the session. We'd like this to be an interactive session, so please send in your questions. If she can't get to it during her session, we'll address it at the end. So please also give us feedback using that comment box as well. We'd really appreciate that. A recorded version of this session will be available on demand on our website, where you can also find added webinars for any of you needing those last-minute credit hours for the CMP test. And just so you know, we do have our sessions available on demand. I get questions all the time of only being able to watch live. You can watch on demand for certificates. So those are available on our website as well. We will be sending out an email tomorrow evening with your certificate of attendance for this session. So if you're watching live, please be on the lookout for that. If any of you are watching later on demand and not live, please email me directly at hpanagakis@connectmeetings.com to receive your certificate of attendance. I'll share more information about our upcoming webinars at the end of the program, but we're going to go ahead and get started. I have the pleasure of introducing my coworker, Kristen Francis, who is our hosted buyer director with Connect, and she's here to share about the many events we have going on this year. Welcome, Kristen.
Thank you, Haley. So I'm so excited to join you all today. We have some great things in store for the year, and here at Connect, we want to make sure that we are being a resource to you, not only for your professional development with our accredited education sessions offered at our events, but also your prime resource when it comes to sourcing your meetings. That being said, I'm going to highlight a few events. We have quite a few, so I'm just going to highlight those that are happening in our first and second quarter, and then also remind you of the dates for Connect Marketplace, which has several different components to it. So to start off, just to let you know, we have Connect California. So Connect California are for our planners based in California that will be sourcing meetings in California, and the dates for that are March 22nd through the 23rd. The next event that I would like to highlight would be Connect NYC. So that's for our planners based in the New York City area that plan meetings all over the nation. So for that particular event, you will be able to meet with suppliers from all over the nation. Then we will have our Connect New England. That'll take place June 28th through the 29th in Portland, Maine, and that event is for planners based in the New England area that also plan their meetings within the New England area. So if you're looking to source in New England and you're based in New England, we would love to see you June 28th through the 29th. And last but not least, that will be Connect Marketplace, taking place August 21st to the 23rd in New Orleans, Louisiana. We cannot wait to see all of you there. We want each and every one of you to register for that particular event. It is for planners all over the nation, and we will have suppliers represented internationally as well as domestically. So please, I'll make sure that Haley puts my information in here in the comment box for you to email me. I would love to share more with you, and we look forward to meeting you soon. I'm here to answer any questions you may have. Please just go ahead and email me. Alrighty, and that'll be all for me.
Thank you, Kristen, and everyone. We very much look forward to you attending these events this year. We've got something for you, so we look forward to seeing you there. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Janice Anderson. Janice Anderson uses her corporate background in communications, marketing, and public relations to equip leaders with a strategic approach to organizational growth and expansion. Janice has supported hundreds of leaders from various arenas. Her clients include pastors, ministry leaders, corporate and nonprofit leaders, C-level executives, and entrepreneurs. She helps leaders identify and overcome the growth barriers in organizations by implementing strategies that allow them to build, brand, and expand their visions. Janice and her team have created powerful mentoring, coaching, and consulting programs, workshops, and products that equip leaders with the tools necessary to increase their influence, impact, and income without compromising their message or their mission. So Janice, whenever you're ready, the floor is yours. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Haley. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I am super excited to be here today and welcome you to today's webinar, which I feel is one of the most important webinars that I have the pleasure and opportunity to teach. It is entitled One Man Can't Expand. I need everyone to say that with me. We're going to pretend that we're live. One Man Can't Expand. As a matter of fact, I'd love for you to just type that in the chat. One man can't expand. Many of us, with our visions and our goals and our events, one of the things that we often try to do is to do it alone. And we cannot, listen, we cannot do what we do well and do it by ourselves. So today I'm going to share with you how to build, train, and maintain a team of reliable volunteers. Thank you. I see you guys typing it. That's right. That's a mantra. One man can expand. If you're tasked with the idea of growing something, you're not going to be able to do it alone. All right, so before we get started and go a little bit further, I want to talk to you about a couple of teams that I'm a part of. Now, the team that you see in front of you right here, I'm biased, but it is my absolute favorite team. The thing is, I'm not quite sure if I volunteered for this team or if I was drafted for this team, but I can tell you this. This team, this lovely team of my family with my handsome husband, Maurice, and my two daughters, Jasmine Janae and Jada Corinne, who at the time of this actual webinar turned 8. She's 8 years old today. They get to see first all of the strategies that I'm going to share with you on the webinar today, because I'm telling you, if you want to know if you're a great leader or not, check with people that live in a house with you. All right, and then the other team that I'm a part of that I have the awesome privilege of serving is the team for my company. Haley shared with you briefly about what we do. I serve on my team as the CEO of that team, and we actually are a team of teams. Our team here at Marua Consulting has the awesome opportunity to create, communicate, and execute custom strategies that will allow leaders to build, brand, and expand their visions. And I tell you, one of the strategies, or a couple of strategies I'm going to share with you today, but just like with my family team, my work team gets to see a lot of the strategies played out loud, and so we practice these things over and over again. All right, so I know you're here not to learn about my team and not to learn about my family, but to learn about how you can build your own team, and I want to share this with you before we go a little bit deeper. Throughout our time, I'm going to share some strategies. I'm going to share some insights. I'm going to share some nuggets that you'll probably want to write down, and you might want to share them. So I like to tell people when I'm live in person to do 3 things for me. Number 1, create. So you write that down, create a memory jogger. Capture it somewhere on a paper. So I'm going to say something, you create like, oh my gosh, I've got to remember to do that. You know how this is. You write it down, write a hashtag or whatever. So create it, capture it, and then share it. Let's not be selfish with the information. Share what you learned. So if there's a nugget, if there's an insight, there's a tip that you would like to share, here's my contact information, and if you look in the chat, you'll see Connect's contact information. Let's get this message out about how we can build reliable teams of volunteers. Well, now that we've gotten the logistics out of the way, yay! And I like to sing. I like to sing, but I really can't sing. That's okay. Don't tell anybody. I know that I can't, but I'll make sounds when I'm excited. So here's what I want you to do. I want to ask you this. Have you ever found yourself with your back against the wall, and in front of you was a mountain of deadlines, due dates, deliverables, and to-dos that you just couldn't seem to escape? Or maybe you found yourself like this. You've been a person that's multitasking, thinking of all the things that you have to do. You wear 50 hats, and you're convinced that the only way that you're going to get things done and get them done well is that you do them yourself. Is that you? Or maybe this. Maybe you found yourself standing in front of a beautiful team of people who are willing and eager and excited to help you, but you don't know what to do with them. It's like these people are so happy, they're able bodies, but it seems like they're more trouble than what they're worth. Can anyone relate to that? You have people who want to help, but they really can't help, and they're like in the way. I want to hear in the chat. If that's been you, just type me a quick yes. Okay, I see. Romanita said yes. Amy said yes. Christy. Okay, good. I thought it was just me. All right, good. So I've been there too. Or here's the thing. You've been there, and you said to yourself, now be honest. Good help is hard to find, hard to keep, and I can't afford it. If you said that, type in the chat, I have said that. If you said, oh, you thought it. Maybe you didn't say it out loud, but you said, you know what? Good help. It's hard to keep. It's hard to find, and it's really expensive. Okay, good. Leslie said it. Sue said it. Chantel said it. Yay. Okay, good. Well, me too. I've been all of those things. My back was against the wall with deadlines, due dates, deliverables about important events that were going to change the face of the organization if they went off well and made us look completely horrible if they did not. There have been times when I had a bunch of people who wanted to help, and oh my God, y'all, I'm from Georgia, so I'm going to be kind of country a little bit. Y'all, they could not help me. They were like in the way. And then I was just like that guy before. I was like, you know what? There's no way I can do this. I don't have the budget. I don't have the time. And the people who I need, you know what? They're not going to come work for me for free. So what do? Besides pray, besides get on our knees and beg, is there anything that we can do? Well, here's what I can tell you. You can keep spinning your wheels like a hamster on a wheel, like this guy here, or you can make up in your mind, I'm going to do something about it, and that's what I'm going to teach you today. So here's what I'd like for you to do. I'd like for you to clear your desk, shut your door, silence your phone. If you have other programs on your computer open, let's shut them down, turn Facebook off and Pinterest off and all that stuff, turn it off. And here's what I want you to do. Get a blank piece of paper out. I'm a teacher at heart, so get your paper. I'm going to give you some really great strategies and nuggets that you can use that are going to propel you forward, but you're going to have to write them down. Get a good writing pen. I don't know about you, but there's something about my pen that makes taking notes so much funner for me. I don't think funner is a word, but it like gets etched in my brain, but I'm kind of messed up if my pen isn't right. So get a good pen, a blank sheet of paper, focus, and let's get started. That's why you're here today. You're here today. Romanita, you thought you were the only person like that? No, girl, I'm like that too. Here's the thing. You're here today so I can share with you the strategies, the secrets, and the tips that I've learned that can help you to build, train, and maintain a solid base of loyal, reliable volunteers. You ready? So here's what I want to tell you. In order for us to do this, you're going to have to commit to a couple of things for me. You're going to have to commit to stop being super. How many of you can relate to the guy on the left? You're like, I'm super, I can handle this. And then you get in the throes of things and ready for your event, and you look like the guy on the right. You're like, oh, my goodness, I can't. I'm like, Oopits Day. I have children. So do you guys remember on Lion King when I don't know what those little things were called, the little bad guys were were trying to call Simba stupid, and they said Oopits Day. See, we can either be significant. I mean, we can either be super and turn into Oopits Day, or we can be strategic, and we can be like this lady today. We can make strategic, hyenas, thank you guys. We can make strategic movements forward. So today I want to share with you how you can be strategic about building your team without losing your shirt. Ready? Now, I want to encourage you, all of you who are here, to make sure that you stick around all the way to the end because I have a super-duper extra special gift that I want to give everybody for just showing up today for today's webinar. It's a part of our Volunteer Dream Team Toolkit, and I know this is going to help you to build your volunteer dream team, but I'll show you how to get it at the end, so make sure that you stick around. All right. Great. So here's what you're going to learn today during our time together. I'm going to share with you how to recognize and avoid costly mistakes leaders make when managing a team of volunteers. Secondly, I'm going to share with you the one critical role and the 5 key responsibilities that are necessary when managing a volunteer team. And lastly, I'm going to share with you how to build a team of loyal and committed volunteers. I should add in there skilled. Because it's important not only that they're loyal and that they're committed, but they can do the job what you're asking them to do. How many of you want that? Can I get an amen in the chat room? So let me tell you how I came about with this. So I told you earlier that I started this, that our company has the awesome privilege of creating and communicating and helping those we work alongside execute these strategies that are going to grow their visions and they're going to make their events successful and their organization successful, their program successful. So here's me with a couple of my clients. On the left of the screen, you'll see that was an actual live working session. On the right, that was the results of a working session. And what happened is Guys, I was coming up with these amazing strategies. We were working hard. We'd spend 8-hour days or two days, 8 hours a day, creating strategies to make events successful, to fill events, to make sure that we're teaching the way we want our people to learn what we have. I mean, we were just putting all this time and energy into planning something great, and what would happen is the execution wouldn't be great. And so I'm like, I started feeling, if I can be honest with you all, I started taking it personally. I started to believe that there was something wrong with my strategy, that maybe there was something wrong with me. Maybe I'm not a great communicator or a good strategist because I know that this stuff works, but it wasn't working for my clients. So I became obsessive about finding out what was the loophole. Why was there a disconnect between the strategy and the execution of the strategy and the results that we were seeking? And can I tell you what I found out? It had very little to do with the strategy. In most cases, it was not the strategy at all. But the breakdown occurred with the execution. And it wasn't because I wasn't great, and it wasn't because my clients weren't great. It was because they were trying to do it with limited resources when it came to a team. And so in order for them to grow, to operate with excellence, to do the thing that they were called to do, to make the mark that they know they want their events and their organizations and their programs to make, they needed a bigger team. So for years, I became obsessive about finding out how to build a team. But here's the thing. It wasn't just building a team that my clients were struggling with. It was building the team on a limited budget. And so I needed to figure out how can they build a team on a limited budget and still have amazing people that can get the job done. Well, then I realized, hey, we all can get volunteers, but how do we get volunteers to work for us so that they work like they're paid staff? So if you want to know how to do that, you're in the right place today. After I figured it out, and it took a long time. I'm telling you, it did. It took a lot of trial and error, a lot of different organizations. But I was able to come up with this system that I want to share with you today that I really believe that if you grab hold of the strategies that I'm going to talk to you about and the principles I'm going to share, it's going to shift the way you look at your team and your volunteers, and it's definitely going to get you some of the results that I believe you can have because these are what my clients had. So after we started implementing volunteer training, these are some of the things that people said. They said, your team was very helpful, attentive to my concerns, and very informative. I'm anxious to see what the next event will be like. I've also heard things like, I've been a long-time lover of your work, but I can tell you made a staffing change. Things are cleaner, crisper, and more polished. Keep up the good work. Now here's my favorite one. Can your team train my team? The way you operated this was with such class and excellence. There is something that we've got to mimic. Wouldn't you like to have people say that about your team, about how you operate? And can I tell you, in each of these scenarios, these were different organizations, different people, and each of them had volunteers. They were all volunteer teams. Now, because of the success of some of my clients' teams and them being able to implement this volunteer system, the leaders have been able to focus on the things that position them well in the marketplace. And they got accolades from places like this: Black Enterprise, Forbes, CBS Radio, the Wall Street Journal, Christianity Today, Connect Faith, and Fox Business. So if you're ready to get those type of results, listen up. All right, you ready? Here's our first note. Let me tell you, this is actually the second note because you probably should have already written down the hashtag for today, one man can't expand. So at the top of your paper, you need to say one man can't expand. And on the side, you want to say, I can't do this by myself. So then let me show you what you need. Here I'm going to share with you the 7 team building secrets. It's important not only that we have a team, but we know how to build a team. So let me give you secret number 1. Actually, I'm going to share with you all 7, and then I'll go deep into explaining what they look like. So write this down. Here are the 7 secrets you absolutely, positively must know in order to build a solid, reliable team. You might only need to know these secrets, but you got to know how to implement them. Vision, structure, expectations, training, communication, community, and compensation. Don't worry, we're going to go through all 7 during our time together. Here we go. Number 1, team building secret number 1. You must have a written vision. You must have a written vision of the team. What is it that you want the team to accomplish? Why has the team assembled together? So many times because we are rushing to do what we do and we're excited about it and the vision is engraved in our hearts, we rarely take the time to share the vision with the team that we have in front of us. Oh, you know what? I didn't say this, and I don't know why this isn't in my slides, but I don't think it's in there. So let's just take a step back for a second. If you're okay with that, because I told you I'm going to give you some really great nuggets, put okay in the chat room, and here's what I want to tell you. If you're willing to take a step back for just a second with me, say okay. All right, good. So here's what I want you to know. Before I tell you how to build this team, I want to tell you the 3 costly mistakes we make when we're building volunteer teams. This is not going to be in your slides, so you're going to have to listen up closely. And you know by now I talk pretty fast. I'm from Savannah, Georgia. And I don't know if that has anything to do with me talking fast, but I like to use it as an excuse. I'm also the oldest of 5, and if I wanted to get heard when I was in the house, I had to say what I had to say real fast. So being from Savannah and the oldest of 5, I just talk fast. But if you need me to say something over again, just type in the chat, say it one more time. All right, here you go. The most costly mistakes when building a team of reliable volunteers. Here are the 3 top mistakes. Mistake number 1, having an improper perspective. Improper perspective. Oftentimes, let me just hear from you. Tell me right now, define someone in the chat, what is a volunteer? Tell me, what do you think a volunteer is? Define volunteer for me. I'm looking. How would you define a volunteer? No one. Everyone's afraid to type it in the chat. I just want to know. Okay, a customer, someone who donates. Okay, Sue says a customer. Nicole says someone who donates their time for no monetary reward. Chantel says a volunteer is someone who works and is not paid for it. Great. Andrew says someone with passion. Pia says a person who dedicates their time to a common goal. I love your definitions. You guys are super smart. Keep those definitions in mind. Mistake number 1 is there's an improper perspective of what a volunteer is. Mistake number 2 is we're often getting volunteers because we're driven by desperation. So not only do we as leaders, planners, organization leaders, when we're looking for volunteers, not only do we often have the wrong perspective, we're often looking for them out of desperation. How many of you have looked for volunteers, sought volunteers, invited volunteers on your team because you were desperate? You had to pull this thing off and anybody would work. Tell me in the chat. And the 3rd most costly mistake that we can make, Allie said, yep. Whitney said, yep, I did that. Okay, great. And number 3, the 3rd most costly mistake that we can make, y'all, this is a big one. Circle it on your paper. When it comes to volunteers, when we view volunteers as free labor, that is the biggest mistake we can ever make. I'll go over those mistakes one more time because I want you to be aware of them, because if you're not aware of your mistakes, you're going to keep making them. Mistake number 1 is having an improper perspective of what a volunteer is. Number 2, finding volunteers and recruiting volunteers out of desperation. And number 3, viewing a volunteer as free labor. Now, if you notice, the first thing when I was starting with my presentation and I started getting into the content, the first thing I told you is I wanted to share with you team building tips. Because here's the thing about a volunteer. If you don't see your volunteer as a vital part of your team, you're missing the point altogether. A volunteer is not just someone that comes and helps someone with passion, but a volunteer is a member of the team. And they are not only a member of the team, they are a vital part of your team. Actually, they're one of the biggest assets on your team. The second thing I want you to learn about a volunteer is not only that they're a part of the team, they're a vital asset on the team. Here's the third thing. Volunteers are not free help. They are not free help. We'll talk about this later on in our presentation, but they're not free help. They just get paid with things other than money. So let's stop saying that, one, a volunteer is someone that just comes and helps out because they're passionate. They're not, just a random person that we got for the time being. And instead, look at them as a vital part of your team. They're staff that's paid something other than money. And if you were recruiting staff, wouldn't you be a little more intentional about recruiting staff? If you looked at your volunteers as a team member and a staff member, wouldn't you be picky about it? That's how I want you to shift your perspective. They're not just help for the time being. They're not just the help, they are a vital part of our team. Now, since that we can all get on the same page and we say that they're a vital part of our team, let's look at the 7 things that we absolutely must keep in mind when building this team. I call these the 7 team building essentials: vision, structure, expectations, training, communication, community, and compensation. Here we go. So, now I'm back to what I wanted to say. Team building secret number 1, a written vision. In order for the team to go in the same direction, we must be clear about what that direction is. Where are we going? Where are we headed? What do we want? And it's going to be important that you not only know this and communicate this in your volunteer training meeting that we'll talk about here shortly, but you want to write it down. How many of you have led a meeting with your volunteers or just teams in general, and you said, hey, I want to make sure everyone's on the same page? How many of you said that? Raise your hand. Say yes if you said, I want to make sure we're all on the same page. Okay, great. You all are saying that. If you said that and you didn't have a page for you all to get on, you're setting your team up for failure. The reason why you not only want to have a vision, but you want to write the vision down in a place where everyone can see it is so that you can get on the same page. See, when you're working with a team of volunteers, it's important that they are clear about what the direction is that you all are headed, and the only way to make sure that everyone is on the same page is to write it all down. So that's team building secret number 1, have a written vision. Team building secret number 2, have structure. Here is the thing. Listen, structure is this. Structure is what is needed, where are we going, what are the roles, and what are the rules. What is needed, where are we going, what are the roles, and what are the rules. How many of you, for the team of volunteers that you love to recruit, have a documented structure for them to just fall in line into? How many of you have that? Love it, Sherry. You said always. Here's a couple of things that I want you to, under structure, I want you to be clear, and I'm going to share this with you later. This is part of something fun I have for you. I want you to be clear about these 4 things. Unlike any other team that you build, it's going to be important and imperative that you provide your volunteer team these 4 things when it comes to structure. You guys are ready? You want, number 1, to have written down the expectations of the role they're going to play. Expectations of the role they're going to play. Give me a second, Pia, and I'll get it in a second. Number 2, this is a big one, guys. This is the price of admission. This is important. This is going to change everything about your volunteers and how you look at them. You want to communicate and have it written down the amount of time required for them to do the job you're asking them to do. So you have the expectations of the role and the amount of time required. See, here's the thing with volunteers. They don't, people who volunteer and say, yes, I'll help, they don't mind helping. They just want to know where they're going, what they're doing, and how much time do you need from me. As leaders, the biggest mistake that we make when it comes to bringing engrafting volunteers on our team is we don't tell them how much time it's going to take. And then we have the audacity to get mad when after 30 minutes they're done. But if you could tell them, hey, this takes about 7 hours out of your week, would you still be interested? And they say yes, you'll get a much more committed volunteer. Here's the third thing. Location. It's going to be important that when you're sharing the structure that you share with them, where are they going to be? Where do they need to show up? And then the last thing, details. I don't understand this. I mean, we want this in our life, but we give this later. And I know it's because we're running and we're ripping and we're trying to do what we get called to do and all the 29,000 hats that we're running, and so we forget the details. Guys, I do this in my own life. Remember that first team I showed you, the team, the kind of like the most important team in my life? Well, here's the thing. I have a bunch of stuff going on in my head. I'm a mom, for God's sake. I'm a CEO. I'm a mom. I'm a wife. I'm a woman. And women, we're spaghetti. Isn't that what the book says? We're like spaghetti and men are like waffles. So I have 1 million things going on in my head. And all those things in my head, I don't take the time to try to share them with my family, yet I want them to jump on board with whatever I have going on. Now, let me tell you, the headmaster of this team called family, Mr. Anderson, he's not participating with that. He's like, ma'am, I need you to tell me what's going on. And I'm moving and doing stuff and wanting him to do stuff and not sharing. And we do that with our own volunteer teams because we're thinking you're supposed to just read our minds. So here's what I want you to do. The four things one more time with structure are the expectations of the role, the time that's going to be needed from the volunteer to fulfill the role, the location, where do you need them to be, and number 4, the details. Where are the details? All right, here, let's go secret now. Okay, you guys are chatting. Let's see. We have Pia saying, what are the last 2 rules and roles? Helene, what are the roles and what are the rules? Okay, Helene, stay tuned. I'm going to share with you in a minute. Am I showing slides? Yes. Chantel is not seeing slides. I don't know if Haley, if you can help her out. Is everyone else seeing the slides? Okay. All right, great. All right, I'm going to keep on going. So team building secret number 1 is a written vision. Team building secret number 2 is I said them out of order. Sorry, guys. Expectations. Oh no, maybe I didn't. Oh, I said them out of. Why did you guys let me say it out of order? Sorry. Hey, okay, I tell you what, let's work together as a team. If I say something out of order that's not like the way the slide is, just say, Janice, that is not what my slide said. All right, so let me go back and make sure. I want to make sure I say them to you in order. So let's see. Vision, okay. Team number 1 is vision. Team building number 2 is structure. Good. Team building secret number 3 is expectation. Somebody asked just now, what are the rules? The rules are the expectations. What are the things that you expect? Now, let me give you a little bit of a hint with this one. When you're coming up with the expectations of the volunteers, I want you to be very clear about those things and not – see, here's what we tend to do. Because we saw volunteer as free labor and free help, then what we tend to do is we don't want to communicate all of our expectations because we're not paying them any money and they're free help. Okay, so remember I said that the mistake number 1 was improper perspective? Because when I look at you as a vital part of the team, it's important that you are clear about my expectations. My expectation is, I'll give you some of my expectations. I expect that you're going to show up 15 minutes before your time. I expect that you're going to stay here even after the last person is gone, until the last person is gone. I expect that you're going to do this with an amazing smile on your face. I expect that you're going to be here because you want to be here, and if you don't want to be here, then you're going to act like you want to be here because you made the commitment. Those are the things that I expect. So when you come up with expectations, I want you to think about here. These are the things I want you to think about. I want you to think of the exact things that need to be done in that role and your absolute non-negotiables. What are the things that you absolutely cannot tolerate? So here in my company, when we have events, I like to share a lot of things. I expect of our volunteers the exact same things I expect of my paid staff. I expect that they'll probably make mistakes because they haven't been working with me as long, but I expect that they're going to carry it out to the best of their ability. Well, one of the expectations that I'm very clear about communicating is that we take full ownership of our mistakes. See, I could have said, you know what, I expect that when you come, you're going to have a smile, and I do, but I expect that when you make a mistake that we're going to own it. And I actually have that written down. Here at Marua Consulting, we own our mistakes. And another thing that I expect that's not normal, that's not often written in a description when you're working with a volunteer, is this. I expect that you'll go out of your way to make sure that people that are here feel like we want them here. What about you? What are some of the expectations you have of people on your team? Share with me inside the chat. What are some of the expectations that you have? No one's talking. Are you guys having expectations? Nothing? To do the full, I love it, Andrew, to do the full job. Awesome. To be honest, to watch for needs, that they'll follow through, to ask questions. Hey, guys, do you see what you're writing in the chat? This is awesome. To do as promised. These things need to be communicated to the volunteer when they start. Before they say yes, you need to know, hey, in this role, here are a couple of things that we're expecting. See, when that happens and you have it all on the same page, when they say, yes, I want to be a part of the team, you know that they're committing to the job fully and that you didn't hold any secrets. Good job. Adhere to our timeline. Okay, good. Here's the fourth one. Team building secret. This is a big one. Team building secret number 4. When building a team of reliable volunteers, if I had to change the title a bit, and I would change it to skilled and reliable volunteers, this one right here is vitally important. Team building secret number 4 is offer training. Now, for this one, I have 2 quotes I want to share with you. One is my favorite quote that I use when I'm teaching this. I'm teaching leaders of volunteers, so I'm going to use this with you guys. Write it down. You ready? The quality of the work you receive from your volunteers is proportional to the quality of the instructions they receive from you. Let me say it again. The quality of the work you receive from your volunteers is proportional to the quality of the instructions they receive from you. I'm not sure what has happened, where the communication breakdown came with us as leaders and the volunteer teams that we manage, but for some reason we feel that because we're super duper busy, we can skip the training. And if I'm honest, we do that with the regular teams that we manage. Hey, there's a study. Can I tell you this? I got 2 other things I want to share with you why this is vitally important. So there's a study done by Harvard Business Review that says this: only 10% of the population has what is called a learning mindset. These are people who seek on their own and enjoy learning. Only 10% of the people in the world have a learning mindset. Now, let me tell you, you guys are on this webinar, so you're in the 10%. Now, here's the thing. The other 90% of the population will not look to improve their skills unless it is a part of their job requirement. So guess what that means for us? 9 out of 10 people that we have as volunteers are not going to look and search for training. They're not going to go and sharpen their skills so they can be better at the job we're asking them to perform. So if we're not deliberate as leaders in offering and making training a required part of being on the team, we are setting our teams up to fail. So you might be asking, Janice, what in the world should I be training them on? Okay, here it is. I'm so glad you asked. Number 1, you want to train them on your culture. What are the things, how is your culture? You guys said some really great things. We have an honest and open culture. We have a friendly culture. We have a go out our way culture. We have a culture that's like a family. Is it like a family? What are the things that make your organization, your event, what it is? One of the things I love about Connect, and it's one of the things that really draws me back to them every year, is I feel like the Connect family, the Connect organization and staff are really my family. I mean, I'm like following them on Instagram and Twitter, and I'm celebrating when they're celebrating. I'm not just a speaker for them. I'm not just a resource for them, but I feel like a valuable part of their team because that's the culture that they have created. Another thing that they have created, and I don't even know if they know this is why one of the reasons I love them or not, is they've created a culture of fun. In my job, in my life, in this home, my family, it is imperative that we laugh. That's just part of the culture. And so when you're training the volunteers, you want to expose them to what the culture is and let them know, hey, this is what we do. This is our way. The second thing is you want to train them is your way. Is there a systematic way that you do things? Oftentimes when we're training our volunteers, if we're not specific about the system that we have in place or how we like to see things, yet if we haven't shared that with them, but yet we expect them to do it, we're setting the volunteers up to fail. I'm going to give you a really practical example of this. It's a little bit nitpicky, and I hope you're okay with it, but I want to make it practical, and I'll be fully transparent. In my organization, we communicate a lot via email. I mean, a lot. And I don't know about you. There was a time that I had, 200,000 emails in my inbox. It was ridiculous. I don't have that anymore. I got a system on how to fix it. But one of the things that makes it difficult for me to sort through email is the fact that there's so many different titles, and people are titling things all kinds of ways, and I'm not sure if this is important or it's not important. So in our company, among our team, we have a set way of how we talk to each other through emails. We have a bracket that shares what the topic is, and then we have the subject line. Bracket that says the topic or the action that's needed to be taken, and then the subject line. That is our system. So when you're sending an email about Connect, you go bracket, Connect, close bracket, we need your webinar. Then that way I know that this email is about Connect and it's about this webinar. It's a simple thing, but hey, guys, somebody said, I thought they were the only person. Oh, I know, Sue, I know that was horrible about my inbox. If you have a set way that you do things, it's important that you share that way with the volunteers. Communicate that and train them on that way. The third thing you want to train them on is your systems. What are the systems that you have in place? Now, here's why I have a question for you guys. You don't have to answer because I don't want you to feel shame. But do you have a system? Do you have a set way that you do things, or do you just do it as it comes? Are you like that lady at the beginning of the slides that was her hands were all over the place, her head was all over the place, and you're just kind of being random with everything? If you don't have a systematic way for how you're handling your task, then you are setting yourself, your team, and your organization up for failure, and the people that you serve, they can often get lost in the cracks simply because you don't have a system. Here's what I want to suggest to you if you don't have a system, or if you're thinking about, or if you just have a few systems. Anything that you repeat, anything that you do more than one time, you should have a system for doing it. Write that down. Anything that you repeat and you do more than one time, you should have a system for it. All right, and then the last thing that I would love for you to train your volunteer team on is your preferences. Are there specific things that you like as a leader? There's specific things that really work well for you? Okay, one of my clients, I'll tell you, they train me well. One of my clients is most of my clients are all busy. They're all leaders, leading organizations, leading teams, doing what they do. So most of them are busy. That's not new. But one of them in particular, what I love, actually it's two. It's a woman and a man, two different organizations, but they both feel the same way. They detest, and let me tell you, they detest it strongly, long emails. They do not like reading long stuff. They just hate it. Now, you guys can probably tell by now that I am long-winded. And I'm a detailed woman. So not only do I work and operate according to systems and strategies, I write every single thing out. Well, when I'm talking to them, they stop at line number 2. So I have learned that in order to be effective with them, first I need to talk in really quick sound bites, but when I cannot avoid it because the task at hand requires that I share in detail, here's what I do. I write the email, I highlight in yellow the first line. This is a long message. Please print out and read to the end. That lets them know that this is really important and I could not avoid giving it to them the long way. Here's the thing. If you're not clear about your preferences and someone violates it and you get mad at them, then how would they know unless you communicate it to them? So when you're training your team, you also want to train them on your preferences. Hey, you know what, when we're doing this, we prefer that you do it this way, and be okay with it. Yes, Carolyn says know your audience and know how to communicate with them. Yes, those pop-ups are a killer. What pop-ups, Sue? I'm not sure what you're talking about. Okay, say it again. All right, so those are the 4 areas I would like for you to train. Let's move on to team building secret number 5. Is this helpful for you all? Let me know if this is helpful. Team building secret number 5, communication. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my goodness. Let me tell you, when building a team of reliable volunteers, now that we look at them as a vital part of our team, we look at them as not as as free labor, and we look at them as not as somebody that we just desperately drafted on because we had no other choice, but we're treating them like valuable members of our team. It's going to be important that we communicate to them. It's going to be important with the volunteer. Can I tell you, some volunteers, what they really want to know is they just want information. They want to know that they're in the know. They want to know that they know first. So when you communicate to a volunteer as many details as possible, let them know what's coming up before everyone else knows, like before the general public knows. They have a vested loyalty to you because they feel like I'm a part of something big. So communication is key. Not only are you communicating to them their role, you're communicating with them the other things that are going on in your organization. Hey, last year when we did this, guys, it was like this. Oh, my goodness. We had this person here. We had this person here, and it was absolutely fun. So this year we want to do it even better. And, oh, yeah, hey, guys, we just found out we're going to give this thing away for free. You want your volunteers to feel like they have insider information. because they want to feel like they're a part of the team. That's one way to get a volunteer to really feel connected and to really stay in the loop is to keep them in the loop. So here are a few things I want you to write down when you're talking to your volunteers and you're communicating with them that's going to really make them buy in to what you're doing, buy into the vision, to the organization, and the task at hand. You want to keep your volunteers in the loop about updates, about changes, about challenges, and about celebrations. Let's hear that again. Updates, changes, challenges, and celebrations. When you hit your goal, when you hit a milestone, you want to celebrate with your volunteer team. This is the thing, guys. It's important that we realize that they are part of the team. They are a vital part of the team. We need them to know they matter. So we keep them in the loop of the entire process. Keeping volunteers in the loop will make I'm telling you, that is more reward than money for many of them. I'm not being funny, and I know for some of you who are like, no, just give me the money. I'm serious. You would hate to be on a team, and things are going on all around you, and you have no clue, and you show up today, and everything has changed, and no one told you. Makes you feel insignificant. So communication is a critical team-building secret. All right, let's go to team-building secret number 6. Let me look. How am I doing on time? I can't tell right now. All right, a community of peers. Now, here's the thing about volunteers. They already know they're not staff, right? They know they're not paid staff. They know there's something different than the other people that are on the team. And if we haven't been intentional about doing the things that I've shared with you on this training today, they feel it. So what you want to do is when volunteers come alongside you, you want to create a community of peers. One way you can practically do that is to have a volunteer leader for every set of 10 volunteers. Every set of 10 volunteers, they have a volunteer leader, and that's like their crew. So this is your team. Put them in teams. In some faith-based settings, they have small groups. Let me tell you, small groups are the best thing for multiplying an organization. A group of, because y'all know we get in cliques anyway. So why don't you go ahead and create the clique? Hey, this is so-and-so who's the leader of your volunteer team. Let them come up with a name for their team, get special T-shirts for their team, and now they have a camaraderie. So when things go on, when they have questions, when they have challenges, when they have celebrations, they have a team of people who are just like them. This is not the purpose of this particular presentation, but I'm just going to share it anyway. One of the basic human needs is the need to belong. That's a basic human need. It's not a desire or a want. It's not something that's optional. It is a basic human need. And any time and this is something that psychologists have studied for years and proven this to be a point. So any time in our organizations, when we can create an opportunity for people to belong and to be a part of the whole, to be a required part of the whole, we have just filled a need that whether they know how to articulate it or not, that they really, really, really have. And if our organizations can do that, they'll be more committed to our organizations. One of the ways that we can fulfill that need to belong is to create a community of peers. Create a group where our volunteer teams can feel a part of something, a part of a group of people who understand them, not just the boss and then us, but a group of us within us. Does that make sense to everybody? Hope it does. So here are a couple of things you can do. You can say, hey, these are your fellow team members. You can do that by, one way we do it is we let the volunteer teams create names. So we got this group of volunteers like the red team. I mean, they have better names than that. And so the red team has their little section where they're going to meet and they come up with ideas. And it's like, oh, yeah, she's on the red team with me, something like that. And then wherever they need additional resources and support, they go to their teams. And so it's their community of peers within the peers. Does that make sense for everybody? Good. Yes, a seat at the table. Great way to say it, Lisa. All right, okay, listen, guys. I'm super excited. This is my favorite one, my favorite of all the team building secrets. If you have not been taking notes, you want to stop what you're doing. Make sure you take notes for this one, because if you don't, I know I said this already before, but seriously, if you do not write anything else down, you want to write down what I'm about to share at team building secret number 7. Team building secret number 7 is compensation. So I've already shared with you that a volunteer is not free labor. They're just people who work on the team. They're part of the team that are paid in ways other than money. In front of you, I have shared with you 10 ways to pay your volunteers. 10 ways. Y'all ready? Let's go over them. Number one, you can actually give them money. You could give them a gift card. It's not that you have to pay them an hourly salary or something like that. You can give them a gift card. You can give them some cash in the card. They would appreciate it. But here are other ways that volunteers actually love to be compensated that they don't quite know how to articulate. And so you as the leader must look for this opportunity and execute this, okay? Public or private praise. And you got to know your volunteer. Some volunteers want to be highlighted in front of the entire group. We want to thank Janice because if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't have a smiling face at the door every single event. And we thank you, Janice, for the Smile of the Day award. Okay, that's me. I might want it publicly. But if my sister, Sunita, she's extremely shy. She would hate it and cringe if you praise her in front of everybody. So you have to know your volunteer, you have to know your members, and you want to give them, you want to compensate them in the way that's valuable to them. So Sunita would not appreciate you doing it in public, but she definitely would like a little handwritten note that says, Sunita, I appreciate you. Thank you for your commitment to this team. Okay, number 3, access. Some volunteers just want to be a part of the team because of the access to the people that your team has access to. I'll use Connect as an example. Connect has the most phenomenal speakers at their events. I would volunteer, if I wasn't a speaker, I would volunteer just to be in the room with the speakers. They have the most amazing keynotes. Access alone is amazing for me. Sign me up. Put me on a T-shirt. I will be there to see George Bush, Steve Harvey, Barbara Bush. Who wouldn't want to be in the room? Bill Clinton, Shaquille O'Neal. So some of your volunteers would want to be paid simply by access. Another way that you can compensate your volunteers is input, continuing to give them feedback. Many volunteers sign up to be a part of something greater, to belong to a group that's greater than theirs, or to expand their horizons simply because they want to receive input and they want to provide input. So listen. Allow them an opportunity to share their thoughts, ways you could do this better, any creative ideas. I mean, it's all about making them feel like they belong. Okay, here's another thing. Now this one, as I read this, when I was younger, this was me. But I'm wiser now and I'm older, and I don't think I want to be paid this way. But sometimes volunteers like to be paid by increased responsibility. Today I consider that a punishment. When I do well, you give me more work to do. But some people really love to feel needed, and if you give them an additional responsibility or something a little higher than what you've given them before, like it makes them feel valuable. A sixth way that volunteers can be compromised is by significance. Let me tell you what that means. That is really playing up. And I'm saying playing up because I can't think of another word right now, but really being intentional about identifying the significance they are to the team. Let them know that they matter. You should just hashtag that, #YouMatter. That alone will carry some volunteers with you for years to know that they matter. It makes me think of this woman I just recently met. Oh, yeah. So I was at this small group the other day. Totally random. And this woman was at the small group who had been a part of this organization since 1970. And she said that she volunteered at the food line. And so she feeds people. And listen now, she's been part of the organization since 1970, which means she's a little bit elderly. I don't know how old she is. And but she gets around well. And she says, yep, I work in the food line, and sometimes they call me the day of and say, we don't have anyone else, but we know we can depend on you. And I just show up with a happy smile. You know why she shows up with a happy smile? Because it's not just because they call her, it's the other part. We know we can depend on you. People want to know that they're needed, wanted, and appreciated, and they need to hear it. Because if they know that they're significant, they'll show up to the places where they can be significant. The seventh way that we can compensate our volunteer is by empowering them. educating them. One of the things we have in my organization for every person who works, and it's not volunteer staff, it's actually for our paid and our paid staff and our volunteer staff here in my organization. We have this thing called Learn While You Earn. I have been doing what I've been doing for a lot of years. I've gone to a lot of training, met amazing people like the people at Connect and all the other places I've gone traveling the world. So I have a wealth of information and knowledge, and I don't have to keep it all inside. And so if you are committed enough to work alongside me and help me to fulfill my vision, I want to help you fulfill your vision. So what I do is I empower those who work alongside me. If they're doing something that I have skill or expertise in, we can block off an hour. It used to be in the early days an hour a week for me to help them with their vision, but now my time is a little bit more stringent, so I make it at least an hour a month. But if you can empower your volunteers, they'll stay committed to you. I love this one. This shouldn't be compensation, but for many it is. The seventh, wait, 5, 6, 7, 8th way we can compensate volunteers is by giving them adequate resources. Give them the tools they need to complete the job before them. That'll make me show up. And then the last two I love, perks and bonuses. You can compensate volunteers with perks and bonuses, things that they wouldn't otherwise get. Gift cards are really amazing for this. Gift certificates are great. T-shirts are great. Just some little bonus. It's just nice, And then the last thing is knowledge, helping them to expand their horizon. So if you were wondering how you can compensate the volunteers on your team, the ones that are coming in the future and the ones that are coming that are currently there, I have given you 2, 4, 6, 8. 9 ways outside of money to do it. Was that helpful for everyone? Everyone else, was that helpful? Tell me. Let me know. Any questions? I'm going to pause for a minute, drink some water, and let you guys ask me a question. So if you have a question, thank you for the yes. Man, I'm glad it's helpful. Yay. So here's the thing, guys. Let me know. You're right. Social engagement is another form of compensation. Absolutely. The community part is compensation, Andrew. Great comment. If you guys have any questions, I'll take them now before we get into my bonus secrets that I want to share with you. Any questions, anyone? Anything you need to know? Thank you for saying that, Caitlin. Thank you. I enjoyed this. What is your strategy for invigorating people who continue to volunteer but do minimal work? Oh, I love it. Okay, so I'm not sure about this, but I'm not sure if this is in my slides, but I'll say this. So I read a great book that all of you should probably get since you're leading teams, whether they're volunteer teams or paid teams. But you probably want to buy this book, and it's called The Ideal Team Player by Patrick Lencioni. The Ideal Team Player. What Patrick talks about in this book are 3 key ingredients that every team player must possess in order to be on the team. So before I tell you the 3 key things, I want to say this about me, and I want you to now adopt this mindset. Since we have already agreed that volunteers are not just the help, and we've agreed that we're going to stop making decisions and being driven by desperation, because that's a big mistake. And we've agreed that volunteer is not free labor, but labor there is team members, staff members who are paid in forms other than cash. Since we agreed to those 3 things, here's what I want you to agree to. Agree to this with me, please. Be picky about your volunteers. Be picky about your volunteers. Just because people say, yes, they'll show up, doesn't mean that we'll allow you to play. In no other sector of life, do we just let people get on the team. Guys, when we were playing kickball, you had to be chosen. When you were playing dodgeball and we were playing baseball when we were kids, someone had to pick you. Everyone wanted to be chosen. You had to be picked for the team. But we're now allowing volunteers to pick us. So I want to say be picky about your volunteers. Now I'm going to answer your question. Here's the answer. Patrick Lencioni says this. When looking at an ideal team player possesses 3 qualities. He says ideal team members are this. He said they're hungry, he said they're humble, and they're smart. They're hungry. They have a tenacity for the job. They want to do the job. They're passionate about the job. They are eager to learn. They want to show up and get in there and do what it takes. Even if they don't know what it takes, they're willing to try and they're willing to find out. He said they're humble. They're okay with learning. They know that sometimes they're going to mess up, and they know they're not going to do it right, and they can accept it when you confront them about things that are not great. And the last thing he said that they are smart. And he's not talking about intelligence there. He's not talking about intelligence. That can go in either the hungry or the humble part. The hungry part can kind of go with the intelligence. Here he's talking about people smart. He's saying they know how to get along with other people. They're paying attention to the team around them. He said a ideal team player has a healthy mix of all three. And all of us have areas in which we need to grow in those, but if your person is on the team and they volunteer and they show up but they don't want to do the work, it sounds like they're not hungry. And for me, Janice, I'm telling you about my team and my clients, I would say if you have a person on the team who is no longer hungry, you want to find out if you need to put them in another role or invite them to now leave the team. That's my answer for that. All right. Any other questions? Would you have an exit interview? Absolutely, Shelby. What have been the most successful places you've used to recruit volunteers? So what's your organization, Rebecca? Tell me what your organization is. Because it depends on the type of activity that I'm looking for, where the volunteers are. Definitely colleges are amazing. Churches are amazing for volunteers. I just need to know the organization. CVP, you do sporting events. Oh, yeah, schools, colleges. Colleges are great for sporting events. Churches are amazing for sporting events. That was Sue who said that. Yeah, sporting events. So I would start with schools, just because young people are exciting and they're easily excited. So I do high schools and colleges are great, and churches. Here, can I tell y'all a secret about volunteers? I know you probably not want to go to church because you don't. It's not about the faith. Here's the thing. Let's just be wise. This is a marketing strategy. It has nothing to do with all the way volunteers. It's a marketing strategy. Go where crowds are gathered. If you want to create a crowd, go to a crowd and draw a crowd, okay? So go where crowds are gathered. All right. But we need to work on their reliability and work ethic. Okay, Rebecca, I love this. She said, thank you. We currently partner with the local college and high schools, but need to work on their reliability and work ethic. So I want you, Rebecca, and your team to go in with the mindset now that you're going to really have to focus on team building strategy number 4, which is training. Because when they're in high school and college, they don't have work ethic most of the time. So you're going to have to train them. All right, so let's go. Let's see. Where's my time? Haley, if you're there, if you could type it in the chat because I'm getting carried away. Let's see. Oh, okay. So let me hurry. I hear the last thing. Okay, great. So I know some of you may have to hop off, but I promised that I was going to give you something bonus, and I want to give you these 5 critical information. This is really, really quick. I'll go through them quickly. 5 key leader responsibilities. If you're going to lead a team, whether it's a volunteer team or a paid team, you have to have all 5 of these things, okay? You must be responsible for all 5 of these things, and then I got the free resource for those of you who are sticking around to the end. You ready? I'll make it quick. Number 1, I'll give them to you all together. As a leader, it's important that you decide what needs to be done. You delegate to the right person, not just the available person. You're clear about your deadlines, due dates, and deliverables. You develop your people, and you diligently reward. Let's go over them really quickly. Number 1, you have to decide what needs to be done. As a leader, you must be clear about what it is you want your team to do. What is that? What does that look like? Number 2, as a leader, you have to delegate to the right person. Just because a person is available doesn't mean that they're capable. Available and capable are not synonymous. So what we want to do when dealing with volunteers and paid staff, give the job to the person who can perform the task. Critical responsibility number 3. Deadlines, due dates, deliverables. Say that with me. Deadlines, due dates, deliverables. One more time. Deadlines, due dates, deliverables. The worst thing we can do when delegating tasks or sharing responsibilities with our team members, volunteers, and staff is to give someone a task without telling them when it's due. Always give the task, the expectation, and the date that it's due. Always, always, always. It'll eliminate so much of the confusion and miscommunication. Okay, you're welcome, Angelina. Thank you. All right, and number 4, be committed to developing your people. Critical as a leader, be committed, be obsessive about developing your people. Your team is only as strong as you're willing to train them. Okay, I want to give a quote. For those of you who have to hop off, I totally get it, but I have to say this to you because I really want to make sure that you get the most out of this. When it comes to training, think of it like this. Here's something that I read and I really love it. In a life-threatening situation, you're going to be in one or two categories. Either you have no training and you're guessing, or you've had the training and you have very specific ideas of what you can do. That's what you set up with your team. In the situation, whatever situation they're facing your organization at your event, they're going to be in one or two situations. Either they're going to have no training and they have to guess, or they would have had the training and they have a very specific idea on what they can do. That will only come if you develop your people. Critical responsibility number 5. As a leader, it's imperative that we don't just ask people for things, but that we reward them when they do well. We reward them when they show up. We reward them when they go the extra mile. Let's be leaders who not only develop our people, but diligently reward our people. All right. Okay, so I told all of you who stuck around to the end, I said that super fast. Yay. Feel free to ask questions in the chat. I'll stick around. I just wanted to honor your time. So for those of you who stuck around to the end, I have something super cool. Here at our team, we have what we call the Volunteer Dream Team Toolkit. Now, I can't give you all the entire team toolkit, but I do want to give you something that we use with our clients here. This is an actual resource we use. And because you were on the webinar today, you're committed to learning, committed to growing, I want to give this to you right now. It's called Recruiting 101, How to Find and Enlist Your Volunteer Dream Team. Now, right on the screen and in the chat is a link for you to download this free resource. These are 9 essential questions that you must ask and answer if you want to find and enlist a dream team member. Not just any old body, but a dream team member. And I want to gift that to all of you who stuck around today. So go to the link. It's marua.com/VDT, Volunteer Dream Team, and I want you to download that link. Now, gosh, I can talk for hours, but I know you all have to go, so I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to thank you so much for your time. There's so much we can do. I love each of you and appreciate you for your time and what you're doing through your wonderful organizations. I'm excited to be able to have shared with you this information. Hopefully you gained something that's going to help you to build and train and sustain a reliable team of volunteers. Thank you so much, Connect, for having me. Haley, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Janice. We really appreciate it. Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, we can now. Go ahead.
Hey, thank you. And thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. I know I got a lot out of it, and I know everyone else did as well, so we really appreciate you taking the time and volunteering to do this webinar with us today. We really appreciate it. Well, everyone, I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to go over to you can learn more about our past and upcoming webinars on all of our websites, which are listed on your screen. Everyone who's watched live today will receive an email with your certificate of attendance for the session, and that'll go out tomorrow. So look out for that. That'll have your certificate. And also, anyone watching live, this does go automatically to your CIC portal, so be looking out for that as well. If anyone is watching on demand, please email me for your certificate. It will not come to you automatically, so you have to reach out to me specifically and ask for your certificate of attendance, and I'll be happy to send that to you. My email is hpanagakis@connectedmedias.com, also listed on the screen. And we hope you'll join us next month for another informative session sponsored by the Providence Warwick Convention and Visitors Bureau. More details are to come on that, so be sure to check our website for updates. Everyone, thank you so much. I know we ran a little long, but thank you so much for tuning in and sticking with us. We really appreciate you taking the time for us today. I hope everyone has a great day. Thank you.